Welcome to Big Bad Beautiful Brains. I'm James. Since I was diagnosed with autism and ADHD at the age of 45, I've been on a journey not only to understand how my brain works, but also how other people think and navigate the world. Each episode follows the same set of questions. I ask every guest the same ones, from icebreakers about music and curiosity through to how they think, process, and navigate life. The idea is simple. By asking the same questions, we get to see how differently our big, bad, beautiful brains work, and how much we share in common too. This week I'm speaking to Sophie the Great. Sophie is a singer, songwriter with a wonderfully curious mind. Someone who's always learning, always open, and ready to dive into whatever the world has to teach her. Spoke to Sophie on Wednesday the 17th of September in my studio. It was chucking it down with rain outside, but we had a fantastic conversation which covered a lot of different areas around neurodiversity, looking after your mental health, and different ways to think about the challenges the world can bring you. Hope you enjoy it. Here we go. Sophie, hello.
Hello.
Are you right?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. I'm okay. It's a miserable day outside.
It is, but it's making it so much more cosy inside.
It is. It's really nice. I was saying to my daughter yesterday that I love autumn because you just feel kind of a lot more grateful to have the inside, and it's when the jumpers come out. And
yes, I love autumn. My favourite season.
Absolutely, absolutely. So thanks for coming in to my little studio and having a chat. What's something that's been stuck in your head lately, a sound or a song or something that's just repeating through your head?
The song Walk Home by Bon Iver, or Bon Iver if you want to be fancy. I did not listen to anything else for about 2.5 weeks. That was the only song I listened to. And this morning, that's all I've been listening to at home as well. It is like, do you listen much to Bon Iver?
Yeah, what was his? I can't remember what his first album was.
Was it Forever
Yes,
Ago?
That's it. Yeah, that was kind of when that came out. That was a kind of real deep dive, and I tend to have those sorts of albums as well, where one song really sticks out. At the moment, Deftones' new album is
I haven't listened.
It's awesome, but that's kind of my earworm, and I just play stuff to death, and then I won't listen to it again for a really, really long time.
Yeah, get bored of it. Yeah, Bon Iver, like his earlier stuff, like loved that, but I've only discovered him kind of recently, and his later albums, like the production is phenomenal. I would recommend the album 20 to a Million to literally everyone. You have to go for it into it with an open mind because it's quite out there, but it's a religious experience in the album. It's fantastic. But the Walk Home is from his newest album, which come out in spring. And it is just the perfect song. You know, when you listen to a song, it's like, I would not change absolutely anything about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just kind of, no notes.
Yes.
Absolutely sublime stuff. And it can be like the simplest of songs.
It is actually really simple, but like done in a very clever way. Like, yeah, it's really good. Would recommend.
Awesome. I will check it out. What's something you've been curious about lately? What's kind of made you think that's something I need to know more about?
I think recently I've been more curious in testing my comfortability because there's lots going on in my brain, and when things have been the same way since I was born and I've always done things a certain way, there's always been the fear of, okay, what if I don't do it? But I'm a very logical person, and through struggling with a lot of different things, I've always remained my logicalness, I suppose. So like logically, you know that like certain rituals or routines like isn't necessarily going to do anything in like the whole wide world. But when it's in your gut, like you can't change that feeling, like your brain simply cannot override that. So recently I've been trying to do tiny little things that challenge that, and curious on how I feel afterwards. And so far it's going absolutely awesome.
What's one thing that's kind of stuck out recently that you felt like is a leap?
I think for me, and it all comes, a lot of it stems from like superstitions. So like 3 drains or going under like 2 posts, stuff like that. And when I tell you like for my entire life, like I've avoided these things, and it's like the normal thing. I think people are it's really silly stuff, but when you have a brain that takes those sort of things for gospel, it becomes a lot more serious. So if when I was a bit younger and struggling a bit more, I thought that I always had to step up on my left leg, step down on my right leg. There were so many patterns and to do with lefts and rights and sensory experiences. And then recently I've been challenging that, and I walk over 3 drains, and I walk over 4 drains and 1 drain, and I walk through things, and I'm just proving to myself stuff that I do already know, but I need to do it in practice to see, hey, look, the world is exactly the same. And it makes you anxious, but some things, not everything, but some things is a little bit of, you just gotta try. Not with everything, obviously.
Yeah, there's some stuff that is kind of immovable.
Yes,
rituals.
Exactly, which,
have to do.
Again, they don't cause harm, but for me, I'm like, how far can I push myself to live a more comfortable life where I'm not constantly in a state of hypervigilance thinking, okay, avoid this, do this with left leg. And I'm like, how can I calm my nervous system down a little bit to see, just walked over 3 drains and not feel positive or negative about it?
Yep.
That's something that my sister has talked to me a lot about, is like, as soon as you attach positive or negative emotion to things, they stick around. So I don't want to be like, oh, yay, I've just walked over. It did feel like that the first time I did it, obviously.
Like little dance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But now it's like, oh, yeah, I just walked over 3 drains. Like, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I think it's one of the things I've found is that it's removing distraction, is to kind of get rid of some of the things that hang around in your brain or that your brain can attach to and overthink about, and trying to kind of reduce that and reduce the anxiety, which can then kind of help with other stuff as well.
Exactly.
And getting rid of the noise, or working out ways to turn the noise down.
Exactly.
It doesn't completely go away, but it's just kind of finding ways to kind of go, I acknowledge it's there, but I'm going to crack on anyway.
Exactly. It's acknowledgement and neutrality. I think that's the best approach to it. Another thing I've been doing, which is so funny and silly, and again, like, it's just fun and I love it. One of my biggest anxieties and fears stems from being perceived in the wrong light. Not necessarily just being perceived, but being perceived in a way that I feel like that's not what I'm giving off. So normally, I go on a lot of walks, so I'll, smile at strangers, pet their dogs. But recently, and sometimes the thinking about it, so black and white, is this illegal to do? No, well then I'll do it. Because that's really helped me. That sort of mindset has really helped me, because, I would sometimes walk past strangers on a walk and not smile at them and be thinking about it the whole walk, thinking, oh my God, they think I'm a terrible person, completely spiraling in a thought, trying to be extra nice to everyone else that I encountered to make up for it. And then when I look at it black and white, I'm like, it's not illegal to not smile at someone on a walk. So recently, right before I've been crossing someone on a walk, or when they pass me in a car, I'll just pull a really silly face. I'll just go, I'll just do the most stupid face, stick my tongue out, contort all my skin. I'll be like that to people, because it makes me anxious, because I'm like, oh, what are they going to think of me? Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, 1, it's not illegal to do that. I have free will. And 2, it's just fun. If I saw that on the side of the road, I'd be like, that's funny.
It's a mix, I think, of kind of overthinking, rejection sensitivity, all of that kind of bundling up into another big anxious ball. And sometimes it's just like, I'm never going to see that person again.
Exactly, that's the best thing about it, especially when they're in the car, because then they're gone. Yeah, they're gone so quickly.
It's just a little kind of moment of silliness that, they either probably didn't notice, or they just went, oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly, and it's proving to myself.
And either way, doesn't matter.
No, exactly, and it's proving to myself that doing these things, I do have free will, as much as the way that I've sort of condition my brain to almost believe that I don't have free will and there's a right thing and a wrong thing, but it's everything is just a thing. The perception makes it a right or a wrong thing. So if I don't perceive it to be a bad thing, it's not in my world.
Yeah, and if it's, it's sometimes you have to lean into a little bit, and if it's not doing anyone any harm, it's fine.
That is the main thing.
Do stuff that makes you feel comfortable, and that, there's obviously some barriers you don't want to cross,
of course,
in that. But at the same time, if I feel comfortable and happy in my own skin, I'm going to be better to be around anyway.
Exactly.
So I'm going to do the stuff I feel comfortable doing, and you kind of find your own crowd in the process of doing that as well.
For sure.
Okay, so what's if you had to describe your brain in 3 words, what would those words be and why?
I should have prepared for this one. Okay. Complicated, simple, and silly.
Nice.
A bit of a juxtaposition in there.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
exactly.
why the simple and complicated in particular? Why those two words?
I think naturally I do tend to, like you said, overcomplicate things, psychoanalyze every single thing ever. And I guess that's probably been a way for my brain to keep me safe, because it helps me to study, socialization and learn a lot more about humans and people and how to interact with people, that I expect that everyone is always psychoanalyzing me. And then the more I meet people, some people obviously are quite similar and those people are like very close to me, but most of the time I think some people's brains are a bit less analyzing of behavior. So when you do it, you expect everyone else does it to you.
Yeah.
And I've learned the hard way, but that's not true. And so leaning into the simplicity, like I look at some people that I love, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but I think it's quite simple to be in your brain. Like I have a friend, he's one of my really good friends, and I'm like, oh, what are you thinking of? He's like, nothing. I'm like, what do you mean nothing? And he's like, well, now I'm thinking about nothing. And it's like there is just like no thought until like an intense stimulus like reaches him. And I just love that simplicity. And I love my brain as well, but I look at people around me and I'm like, well, I'm going to try and do that now. Even if it's not naturally how I am, I can still, change like the neuroplasticity, and that is so powerful that I can actually make it more simple for myself. And when I do overcomplicate things, it's like telling myself, hey, that's okay. Like, again, approaching it with neutrality, like not being annoyed at the fact that I've gone down this spiral, or a good thing. It's just acknowledging it, like, hey, that's okay. Let's take a simpler approach and then rethink. And
it's kind of adding the question of, do I need to think about this?
Yeah.
And just having a little bit of a conversation with yourself in your head and going, I could intellectualize this, or maybe not.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll save it for something else, because there is a kind of finite amount of brain energy each day, and it's kind of like, could I use it for this, or maybe I could wait till a little later and see what pops up that could pique my curiosity.
And I think that pause where you question it is so important, because a lot of the time I'm just do things and I'm constantly thinking, but not necessarily like in the most like present way. So when I've noticed what helps me with those rash decisions is literally like just like taking a breath and asking it to yourself, like out loud, like, okay, do I need to have this thought? Is this a good or bad thought? Whatever it is, but just taking that minute and it in time helps so much to just slow everything down. That's what I need to learn to do, just slow down.
Yeah.
There's no rush.
Embrace the pause.
Absolutely.
Just kind of allow for those moments to happen. I think sometimes if you get stuck in a thought loop, it's very hard to step out and find those pauses, because your brain's just going 1,000 miles an hour, and it's like, everything's spinning too fast. I can't take that pause.
Yes.
So it's just having that thought process sometimes of allowing your brain space to take those pauses, because if you get too far down a rabbit hole, there's no room.
Yeah.
You're kind of down there and you're in it. So it's being a little bit mindful, which mindfulness I think is a tricky word sometimes, because it can take people in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
What they're trying to do is, you have to be zen.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, not necessarily, but you just have to allow space for those pauses.
Yeah, and I think it's all about awareness. I think that's what mindfulness is for me, is just being aware of things. Even if you don't change it, just being aware of it, that's the first step for anything.
Yeah,
I think.
Absolutely. What's something you're still figuring out?
I feel like every year I'm like, oh no, I know everything about myself now. And then it's another year, I'm like, wow, last year I seemed like a bit less in the know of stuff. To be fair, I feel like I have a lot of good stuff figured out for my age. I'm 22 and I have been through a lot of stuff, but I'm kind of glad that I went through it at a young age, because I feel like I've got now more of my life to have a few more things figured out, rather than a slow burn where I break down maybe like in my 30s and I'm like, I don't know what to do because I haven't been through it before. Whereas I've been through a lot of stuff and I've come out the other side, and I feel really blessed that I was young when it happened, because I feel like it helped me figure out a lot of stuff. What am I figuring out now? I'm figuring out what I'm figuring out. There you go.
That's a good answer. I like that one. I'm still figuring out, still working out what the next step is.
Yeah, that is literally me. Before, I would think that I'd have to have like a 5 or 10 year plan for things, but I've figured out that actually having like short-term plans and like that's really good for me, and not knowing what the future holds is also really good for me, because I'll get bored of it before I get there.
Yeah.
So,
it's just any plans after what I'm doing later and what I'm doing tomorrow probably don't happen, because it's kind of like my brain will just kind of go, we're going to have a left turn now and we're going to go over here. So it is the kind of long-term planning with any sort of distraction-led brain is kind of like, I'm just going to keep it simple and keep it short.
Yeah, and also like if I plan something and then it doesn't go to plan, that will cause me way more stress than if I didn't plan anything in the first place.
Rehearse plans in your head before they happen?
Yes.
And then kind of get thrown when it doesn't quite go to script?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hate.
Yeah, it's my favourite thing to go over, like, this is the thing that I do when I lay in bed every single night. I think about what time I'm going to do everything, like the order I'm going to do things in, like the amount, like I literally look forward to going to bed, and that's something that like calms me massively, to think, okay, what is tomorrow looking like? But then, as you said, if it doesn't go to plan, I'm fucked. Do I swear on this?
No, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's the two things I really struggle with is like, if there's a plan for something, or like we're seeing people and then the people cancel. And in my head is like, but I had, the schedule was going to be in this shape and then that stops being that shape.
Yes.
Super hard, like super, super hard.
I'm exactly the same. And the worst part is that a lot of the time I'm the one that cancels on other people. It's such a double standard. It's like, right, we've made this plan. If you don't turn up, you're evil, and if I don't turn up, it's because I'm burnt out and I can't handle it right now, and that's fine. I need some me time. But learning a bit of leniency with that as well.
Yeah, and just kind of it's forgiveness goes both ways.
For sure,
and acceptance that sometimes you can't do things, and
exactly
that's fine too.
Exactly. And I feel like my whole friendship group, everyone has very similar brains, and that helps massively, because when it's like, oh, Soph, come out, like we haven't seen you in a while, which is me at the minute, I'm socially hibernating, and then it's like, I don't really feel like it, I've had a busy day at work and I just want to go on my walk and chill on my ones, and everyone's like, that's fine. And I feel like I've never had that acceptance. And also, like, if someone else doesn't turn up, I understand, like, that's fine. Like, who you surround yourself with is so important. And the fact that we all have the same brain is brilliant. I've strayed so far from your question.
No. I started going to the pub when I was like 14, 15.
No.
And it was the Spread Eagle.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that was like, even way back in the darkest 90s.
Wow.
It was still the alternative pub.
Yeah.
And I still bump into people from there, and it was a mix of like ravers, metalers, heads, indie kids, shoegazers, the whole lot. But everyone kind of got on, and everyone was just neurodivergent, and it was just like everyone just kind of existing in their own bubble. And then I bump into these people kind of years later and go, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And it's like, "Oh, I got diagnosed autistic."
Yeah,
and it's like, no shit, me too. But it is kind of, you find your crowd, and you kind of, I think in the age of social media in particular, there's the kind of desire to try and build your crowd as big as possible.
But
it's the small, intimate group of friends that stick with you for life.
1,000,000%.
Are perfectly comfortable being with you or not seeing you for a really long time, and then picking it back up later on.
Exactly. And I find in these like neurodivergent groups is like everyone probably felt like left out at some point in their life, or the odd one out, like sticking out like a sore thumb, whether it showed then or not. But that's why the bond is like so good, because it's like all of the outcasts and they come together, and that's why it's like I don't fit in, but we all don't, so we all do in a way.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
Wicked.
It's a little bit of a contradiction. It's something I definitely found at high school as well. I didn't fit in. I kind of just felt like I was on the outskirts of everything. But then I just found a group of people who were just exactly the same as me.
Yeah.
And we just started playing in a band. And it was just like, let's do a thing. This is cool. Everyone else hates it. And that's...
yeah, that's the best part.
It's just really nice to kind of naturally feel you want to gravitate rather than trying to make yourself fit into something that you're really fighting against.
Exactly that. Because in high school, I had brilliant friends and I was well liked, I think, by most people. But the problem was no one knew, and I didn't even know who the real me was because I had a different personality for every single person I encountered, because I would know what they liked. I would have observed them already on how they react in situations of someone else acting, so I knew whether to or to not act like that person. I felt manipulative, but obviously it was just masking, of course, and I didn't know that at the time, and it was exhausting. But now is the first time in my life where I am just relentlessly myself. There is not an ounce in my body that like feels performative anymore, and I've got to this stage where like, like I just don't care if we're different. Like we don't have to hang out. It's that simple. And in school you don't really get that option, obviously, but I have a bit more autonomy, as an adult now. But it feels like the best feeling in the entire world to have such good, weird, freaky friends, because I just fit right in and I don't have to pretend at all.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's something about everyday life that's easy for you and hard for others, or the other way around?
I think creating is something that is easy for me. I mean, easy for me is like the wrong word. Like I can't not create. Like wherever I am like, my brain is constantly creating things. Like I'll write down lyrics in my notes or any ideas that I have. It does not turn off. And I've struggled with that a little bit in the past, but now I'm like, just let it happen. There doesn't have to be a product out of the creativity, which is something that I'm still training my brain to understand. I simply cannot not create. Like when I'm on my walks, I'm just inspired by everything. So I suppose I've had like, in terms of songwriting, I suppose maybe I've had writer's block before. I've put pressure on myself to write a song about this thing and I can't do it. But when I let it happen naturally, it never turns off, which I guess for some people will probably be quite different. Because of the neurodiversities I have, I feel like one side of me has like really out of the box, obscure ways of viewing life and thinking, and the ADHD makes those thoughts happen 24/7. So that's like a mix to like always create, because you have different thoughts and they're happening all the time.
Yeah.
The other side of it is the horrors.
Yeah, and it's like when you don't want that to happen, or it's not happening, and you kind of, I've planned in time for that to happen and it's not coming.
And it normally happens now, but why isn't it happening now? Yeah, that sort of thing. So I think like there's definitely a good thing. Well, there's, positives and negatives in all of it. Something that I struggle with, I think now this is what I'm still figuring out, learning my boundaries, because I think being undiagnosed for like most of my life so far has naturally, and it sounds like a good thing, but I don't think it is a good thing, it's naturally built up a really big resilience in my head and a large threshold of what I can handle, because I was looking at things through what I thought was a neurotypical lens and thinking this is the normal boundary, like, like, oh, I'll just get on with it. That was very much what it was like for me growing up. It was like, just get on with it. And I'll be like, okay, that's what everyone else seems to be doing, I'll just get on with it, which in turn resulted in more struggles later in life. But now I'm really relearning my boundaries, and there's things that I could do when I was younger but I can't anymore, and in my head that doesn't make sense because it's a pattern, like I've done it before so I can do it again. But it's actually knowing to put boundaries on things, which is something that I'm trying really hard at the minute, to put boundaries on things. And when I put the boundary, that short bit of uncomfortability while setting the boundary is worth the comfortability after, rather than the uncomfortability in both situations, or just being comfortable in that moment for the other person's sake, and then later thinking, I should have gone home 5 hours ago or something like that, rather than saying, actually, I'm going to go now. The other person doesn't care. Sometimes viewing things a bit more black and white can help. So I think something that I struggle with more is, social burnout, definitely on an everyday. As we were saying earlier, like a lot of the time I want to be surrounded by everyone ever, and I want to have all of these conversations, and then in a minute it will just flip off. And that's something that's really hard when I'm at work, because I work in a cafe. I can't really be my non-verbal self if I've got to be on till and stuff like that, which again, if someone doesn't have my brain, then they might not struggle with that. So it's learning on how to manage it, because I know it's not going to stop. It's learning how to manage it, and I'll be like, okay, I'll go do the washing up for half an hour or something.
Yeah,
like
and
that.
the more you're in touch with it, I think the more you can be aware that something like that's coming, and rather than kind of running face first into a wall, you can kind of go, that I'm sensing a kind of the overwhelm or the dysregulation coming, and I'm gonna speak for myself and have some protection over my own myself by saying I need to step out of this.
Yes,
and it's not, it's getting rid of the thoughts of, oh my God, what are they going to think of me?
Yeah,
and just kind of going, I'm putting me at the front of this.
Exactly, and like the more I the more and less that I observe people, the more I realise like it's literally fine. Like there is like some evil people in this world, like me taking a 5-minute break, like that's so fine. Like sometimes I need a comparison to be like, I'm so fine here. Like I'm not doing anything wrong. Like they're not going to think any different of me. And very luckily, like all the people at my work, like really understand things. For me, noise is the main thing. That's something that I really can't deal with. So we've got freshers next week, and last year I was allowed to have my headphones on. It's just like those little things that make you feel so seen and so heard and cared for, that I'm really grateful for, because I know a lot of people would not get that in a workspace. So I feel very grateful for that, which helps.
Have you found any approaches that make the world work better for you? I know you mentioned like headphones in the workplace when you're feeling dysregulated with kind of noise. Is there anything else that you've found recently that you think has made a difference to your day, or how you move around in the world?
1,000,000%. Talking to yourself out loud is, and again, it's those cliche things. It's like, oh, talk out loud, like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, shit, like, no, this actually works, and there's a reason why people are saying it. I don't know, I haven't fact checked this, but I think I was talking to my sister about it, who's doing a master's degree in psychotherapy and counselling.
Oh, cool.
So she is very, very, she's a great person to talk to, but she's helped me through a lot of stuff, and she was saying that when you say things out loud, it's a different chemical that's released in your brain than when you talk to yourself in your brain and you don't externalize it, which is why therapy or talking therapies can be really useful, not to say it to someone else, but just to hear yourself say it out loud. And, you might think that you need someone else there to be able to talk about it out loud, but I'm always talking to myself in my head anyway. So when I externalize things, it feels so much, because in my brain, if there's like 20 voices at once, it's all mumbo jumbo, but I only have one like voice like out loud. So if I say that one thought or that one conversation that I'm having with myself, I'm tuned into just that rather than the other 19 that are in my head.
Yep.
So on my walk, I have a favourite tree. It's over at the Heath, and I sit and I have a little coffee, and I just talk to this tree sometimes for like, over an hour, and I just talk to a tree. And it's weird because it's like, oh, hippy dippy, but I'm like, no, this is actually normal. Like, we've strayed so far. Everyone's like, oh, one with nature. I'm like, that's how it's supposed to be. Like, that is where, like, my nervous system is the most calm, when there's no one else around and I'm talking to my favourite tree, and I feel like it's listening to me. I really do. Like, and because I'm listening to myself through the tree, like using the tree to listen to myself.
Yeah, it's kind of like a sounding board. And it's I do exactly the same. My dogs come down here. I usually have a conversation with them. And there's a term in like web, like with developers and that sort of thing, called rubber ducking. Okay. And you buy a rubber duck and you sit it on the top of on your desk, and you explain what you're going to do. So if you're trying to problem solve something, you kind of go, okay, I need the webpage or whatever it is to do this.
Yeah.
And you describe it to the duck. And it's like, it's the same as, the same as you talking to the tree or something like that. It's just verbalizing it and getting it out of your head and separating it from everything else that's going on that your brain is trying to get you to think about.
1,000,000%. And I feel like, I don't know what the science behind it is, but you are genuinely so much more likely to say, this is another thing that's helped me. If I'm at home, I'm like, oh, I've got to do this, got to do that. Saying it out loud, right, I'm going to do the washing. And it genuinely does help. And it's those moments where I've said it out loud and I realise I have autonomy. I can just do the washing. Like, it's not this huge chore that, like, there's so many things in my head saying, but what about this? What about this? I say it out loud, I'm doing the washing, and then I stand up and then I do it.
Yeah, and it is the creating that simplicity and separating from all the things that your head could do, and just reminding yourself that, like, 90% of the things that you're overthinking don't exist.
Yes.
They're in your head. They're not in the world. The kind of the thought about how someone might have reacted to you smiling at them when you're crossing the road, or when you go, like, I used to always catastrophize about directions. Someone would ask me directions and I'd just kind of go into a tailspin and give them the most intricate directions ever because I didn't want to let them down.
Yeah.
And then I'd go, oh no, I forgot about to tell them about to turn left there.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of like the hangover of, oh my God, I've let someone down.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They'll find a way.
It really isn't. I know.
They're just like, oh, that guy was a bit info dumped on me. I don't know why. And that's it. They just kind of move on with their day. And it's just, all of those things that go around in your head. But I think, saying the thing out loud that you want to pay attention to, I think it's really powerful.
1,000,000%.
What's a small thing that always makes you smile?
So my mum got me this calendar. And she is like such a positive woman, and this is where I've got all my positivity from. She loves little things that just bring you joy in everyday life, and she got me a calendar, and it says, like, essentially like a positive quote every day, but it's not just your smile and the world smiles with you. Like, I'm done with, like, the shallow ones. I've heard enough of
Live,
those.
laugh, love.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, like, it's nice, but I like deeper positivity things. And so this little calendar, it has a different quote on it every day, and that's something that I look forward to in the morning when I wake up, because I will never ever look on the day, like, after, like, an advent calendar. I will never ever open the day after. I look forward to it, and if I had already looked at it, then it would spoil it on the day that I get there, which is training my brain to, again, not do everything at once. It's just like in small doses. So I look forward, and sometimes it's just like a little quote that's written by a child, which is really nice, and sometimes it's like a whole paragraph of stuff by artists and painters and all of these philosophy people. But it's wonderful, and even when, like, it doesn't make sense, I love that, because I think this totally made sense to someone else, and then that makes me happy. So that's definitely something that I recommend, having something, I feel like, in the morning that you look forward to, because it will help you, like, get on with
just
the day.
Kind of, I do have the things that just kind of fix in place the day ahead. So it is just the little rituals and the processes, and then after that is like I let my brain just go and do what it wants, and it kind of fills the gap of I need some routine here. But then after that is kind of just run wild.
Absolutely,
it's the kind of the equivalent of, like, in Jurassic Park when all the dinosaurs run across the hill. So my brain goes off and does that for a couple of hours, and then I'll come back and have it rooted at something that at 11 a.m. I have to do.
Yeah. And I think that's the best approach when you have, like, multiple neurodiversities, because when you just try and live like someone who has one and neglect the other's needs, like, it does not work.
No, the other will be like kind of just a push for attention until it just kind of, you get massively overwhelmed and it kind of catches up with you.
Which is why the balance of both. Exactly.
Yeah, totally. If you had a free day with no plans, how would you spend it?
Walking. I love walking. Literally walking on my own with my headphones on, or with my headphones on while, like, I'm by traffic and, like, loud noises. But when I get to nature, headphones off, got my flask of coffee with me. Been into, like, black coffee with, like, a bit of hot chocolate powder in recently.
Oh, nice.
It's really nice, like a mocha, but, like, doesn't make you feel like, oh, I want to sleep now. So yeah, recently I've got really back into my walking. And I find like you have to be able to do things alone and enjoy them alone, because you will never be dependent on anyone. It's wonderful. I love my friends and my family, and I love having people around me, but I value my own time so much. And that's one of the things. I was in a relationship for about 2.5 years, and all the things, we used to go on walks together, and I thought I only enjoyed it because I was enjoying the company, but actually I was enjoying the routine of doing it, because I'm like, oh, this is our thing that we do. And also I was enjoying the actual doing it, like the actual walking. So I spend so much time by myself now, and it makes me realize, like, if I've ever been attached to people, like, I'm not necessarily attached to them, I'm attached to the routine that I have with them. And then when I do that routine on my own, I'm like, this is actually better without them a lot of the time. Not in a horrible way, but
I think, yeah, just like getting out in nature. I think getting outside and just, whatever your brain's doing, I think just to having the connection with being outdoors and the fresh air and just being with nothing,
yes,
is really powerful. And getting out and I know I like it, and I know it's good for me, and sometimes I really have to kick my own ass to get out and do it.
Yeah.
But I know when I've done it, I'm going to feel a hell of a lot better for it.
And it's those like things that you have to learn to. Oh, it's something. Oh, I can't remember what the actual phrase is called, but like it's like not instant gratification. Yeah, so it's like prolonged gratification. It's like, I know this is going to feel amazing later or when I'm there, because I'm like, I love when I'm in my nature spot, but the walk there sometimes, when it's all traffic and industrial, like, that's quite heinous, and I hate that part of it, because again, I feel like I'm being perceived by everyone in their car, whatever it is. But when I'm in nature, that's when I truly feel like no one's watching.
Yeah, I will not get judged by a badger.
No, exactly, exactly that.
What's something that makes you lose track of time?
Playing music, reading, working as well, actually. When it's a good day, goes by so quickly. Yeah, I've been getting back into reading recently, but it's nice because going on my phone, that is the thing that passes the time the quickest. So it's a tool that sometimes I can use if I've got a lot of time in my head to waste, but then it's like, well, actually, shouldn't I enjoy that time and have as much time as possible doing something that won't make it feel like it went by that? My phone, like, I literally will just find myself, not so much anymore because I've been making a real conscious effort, but just like scrolling, and I'm like, how have I been doing this for 2.5 hours?
Yeah.
Like, it's insane, and it's created to do that, So recently I've been thinking, okay, if I've got time to waste necessarily, actually doing it by doing something I enjoy, like reading or like playing music, or
rather than
listening
going to
to
go
music.
into a doom scroll.
Yeah, because
situation.
it does pass time, and especially if I've got something on at a certain time in the day, and it's like, what do I do for the rest of the day? Because I can't obviously do it.
Oh, the dreaded 3 p.m. appointment.
Yes.
Of like, I'm just going to sit and
do
it's
nothing.
like the animated GIF of Pablo Escobar on a little chair swing, just kind of just sat. It's like,
yeah,
what am I going to do?
That's me. Yeah,
like, how dare someone book something so late because I'm just going to stare out the window now.
I can't do anything else. So I've been trying to think of ways to actually pass the time in way more enjoyable ways. And yeah, I got back into reading. I'm really enjoying that. It still makes it, time pass, but rather I'm basking in it now rather than like trying to make it sort of go as quickly as possible. Which again, mindfulness and just being aware.
Yeah, I think that I've suddenly remembered what I was going to say about your point of kind of the danger that society and mobile phones and online shopping and fast food, instant gratification is kind of those rewards that your brain feeds on. But sometimes it is the reward is much greater if you're patient with it and you spend a bit of time with it and make it a routine thing and don't have a desire for instant gratification and just wait for it to happen. And it kind of it feels a lot better. It just takes, you've got to be patient with it.
Yeah, and the whole journey ends up being quite gratifying anyway, and that's the probably most part you'll remember about something rather than how it felt after.
Yeah, and the kind of it's instant gratification is a dangerous thing with busy brains because you can kind of latch onto it and you can get the reward from the doom scrolling or the, making or kind of ordering food in but the process of preparing something and cooking a meal is just a really nice thing to do.
And something I have to keep remembering if I do, because I really don't like going on my phone like right before bed, especially scrolling, is when I feel myself slipping into that, I'm like, everything that I could consume right now, I will be able to consume tomorrow. Yeah. And that is something that's like, it's not that when I turn it off, I'll never be able to see it again. It's like, I can turn it off and it's going to be there tomorrow. Simple.
Okay, last 4 questions. Tend to do these as quick fire questions. Cool. So whatever pops into your head. What's the best bit of advice you've ever been given?
There is no right time. There is just time and what you do with it. Not really advice, but I like that.
That's nice. That's nice. What's something you're excited to learn to try in the future?
New instruments, more instruments.
Because you play guitar, piano?
Bass. I used to play cello. Maybe I'll relearn that.
Okay.
Relearning a skill. Yeah.
Nice. What's one thing you'd like listeners to take away from this conversation?
Slow down. We are in such a busy world. You honestly just need... Everything comes from making sure that you feel safe and your nervous system feels safe, and the best thing to do is slow down. Even if you think your brain is too busy, you have autonomy and you are able to slow down and it will help you.
Love that. Love that. And finally, what's next for you?
I'm going to go on a walk after this.
Nice. Fantastic. Enjoy the walk. Hopefully it will stop raining.
I know, I'm thinking.
Although a rainy walk is pretty good sometimes.
I know, I got my umbrella, so hopefully I'll be all right. But it's supposed to clear up in the afternoon, so.
Awesome. Thanks, Sophie.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.
It's been lovely.
Okay, that's it for another episode. I hope you enjoyed the chat with Sophie and I. Lots more to come. Episodes with some great people. So make sure you subscribe wherever you get your podcasts from. And I hope to see you back another time. Until then, toodle pip.